Hello, my name is John. Today we'll be continuing our look at zapMYstock by looking at zapMYstock Essential, innovative software by ASP Microcomputers.
It's comprised of two components. The first installs in your Android scanner or Android device and can be downloaded from the Google Play Store. Alternatively, to install the program on your Apple iPhone or iPad tablet device, download it from the Apple App Store. The process is the same. Here we're using the Android Google Play. We search for zapMYstock Essential and install it.
The first thing that we do when we enter zapMYstock Essential is go to the Settings tab. Top right hand menu, Settings, and here we will need to enter the server URL. That is the address of the PC which contains data for zapMYstock. Now, what we'll do later is we'll have a look at where this can be found in the actual software for the PC, but for now I'll enter the URL that I have and push the check button to ensure that we can communicate to the PC. Once that's confirmed, we can continue. We'll go to the main menu and select Data Transfer. This will transfer the lookup file to the mobile device. And if you have any data in the mobile device for a Stocktake, that will be sent to the PC as well. Now that our data is loaded, we can try a few things out. Let's try an inquiry. I'll present the phone with a barcode, and we'll check our database. Let's see, we'll scan this barcode here, the device looks it up, and here we are. Here are the device details. The description, the part number, the location, the serial number or lot number, and the current quantity. Let's go back and let's try a Stocktake. Just a few items. Scan the first barcode. Present it to the camera. Here we are. That's the first item. We enter a count. Let's see, we have 12 of those. Scan another one. Push the scan barcode button. Scan the next. Okay, next item. Here we are. We've got 23 of those. And one more. Present the next barcode. And here we are, last item, entering a count. 13. Now for each of those I could have entered a location, a serial number as well, but in this case that option wasn't enabled. But let's review what we have. We have 3 scanned items. We can have a look at, click on any of them, and the details in the database tell us what we have, and of course time and date stamp is provided together with the count that we've entered. It's now to upload data back into the computer, start the transfer, and it's done. On the PC screen we can see that 2 little tick marks appear on the communication settings and lookup file settings when the data transfer is successful.
If you'd rather not use the camera that's built into the mobile device, then we have other choices. We can use a pod scanner or other Bluetooth connected scanner. To do that, we'll bring up the pod scanner and ensure that it is paired to the mobile device. Go to our Bluetooth settings and allow the scanner to connect. Once the scanner is enabled, we can use this instead of pushing the barcode button. So let's scan a barcode. Here we are. Excellent. Here's the item details. And we'll scan another one. So this allows the entry of data in a manner where you do not have to push a button to scan on the device itself. You can just merely scan with the Bluetooth connected scanner, so it does make it a little bit easier. Now
Now, if you're interested in perhaps looking at something a bit more robust and suitable for warehouse use, then we would recommend a dedicated Android portable barcode scanner. This is the KCDTX 400. As you can see, it scans very quickly. It is a ruggedized device. It has a mechanical keypad, so we don't have to use the keypad on the screen. And it has a number of features that make it very useful for commercial use. As you can see, it's one-handed operation. We have scanning buttons on both sides and on the front, and an innovative trigger right at the bottom, so you can scan and use the device single-handed. Here we would use and activate zapMYstock Essential in the same way as you would on any other mobile device. Here we'll do an inquiry, scan a barcode, and there it is, our details presented. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the zapMYstock Essential software is divided into two components. One is for the Android device and the other one is for your PC. And this is the PC component. We download this from the ASP Microcomputers website, asp.com.au. And here we have the particular settings and menus, and we'll go through those perhaps briefly. But first of all, we'll look at the communication settings, which is very important. The section at the very top here is for Denso scanners. The baud rate and the settings for Denso scanners only, not required for Android devices. What is required, of course, is this URL you see at the bottom here, which is basically the address of the PC on the network to which a scanner needs to communicate. So you have to enter this particular URL in the scanner as written. Let's have a look at the works in terms of the lookup file itself. Here we have the parameters for the lookup file called lookup.csv. And where, of course, it is to be found, we can configure that. And this is the file. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. Let's look at the configuration. So we have the file location, and we have the contents shown in this screen here of the file itself. You can see there's headers, barcode, part number, description, and so on and so forth. So these are where the parameters from the scanner are to be found, so we can choose a map effectively. So we have the barcode is to be read from the column called barcode, the location from the column called location, and so forth. So we are telling the scanner where to find the information required. I'll open up the lookup CSV file here, and we can see the first row has these headings. Of course, though, we don't have to use these headings as they are, but in this particular case, they're mapped across to indicate to the scanner where the information is to be found, but we can change that. We can have different headings, and we can choose not to have headings at all. We can untick this box where basically the columns remain really unlabeled. And we've got to close the file before we do that. There we go. Software doesn't let you continue otherwise. There we are. Now you can see here that if we untick the file, we have F1, F2, F3. So these are the columns, the fields in the CSV file where the scanner will locate the particular items of interest. So, for example, where is the barcode listing? Well, it could be in any of those columns depending on your particular software where the lookup file was extracted from. And we can map these to any location so the scanner knows where to find the information required. Of course, full details are found in the instruction manual. So let's just close that and have a look at the output file settings next. This is the asp.csv, the file where the Stocktake is then placed once we download data from the scanner. And we'll see that's a very similar structure. We have the settings of the file. Now the information in the file is always backed up in case there is any sort of issue. There's a directory that's automatically created by the software called the backup. And this is where all the backups are placed, so you never lose your data. In case anything happens at all, it's always. We can choose the delimiter between parameters in the CSV file. Typically a comma. A CSV file uses commas for the delimiter. we can choose as to whether the first field, like the lookup file, contains names or not. So in this particular case, the ASP.csv file, we do have names. As you can see, the names are listed in sort of pretty much the same order as we saw them in the lookup file, but we don't have to do this. We can assign different names. We can map different output fields to different columns. So if we choose to not have names, we can untick the box that indicates the name field requirement. We can also, of course, choose whether we are replacing existing values or adding to existing values in case we have multiple scanners doing a Stocktake at the same time. So the concept of the lookup file and the output file are very similar. They work in the same sort of way. You can map any setting to any field. And lastly, the top menu, just a brief look. We have the same possibilities of configuring the files from there. We can also have a look at the lookup file. This is what it contains. And that is contents. Without opening it, you can see it from this menu. We can, of course, configure other parameters like communication. There's a log for errors. There's device management, which allows us to determine which device is currently enabled. In software, we can add and remove devices for more or fewer scanners as needed. There's registration information and exit. Let's now have a look at how we would perform a Stocktake using a popular ERP software. This is Advanced Business Manager. The first thing we need to do is to extract a lookup file for zapMYstock Essentials to use. Here's the lookup data we'll be using, which is all the product details in ABM. We want to send this to Excel. So we effectively create an Excel spreadsheet, and here it is. We have the various column headers, which are the same as the ones we see here in ABM, and of course all of our goods details. We save this as a CSV file, and it'll be saved as the lookup CSV. Ensure that you pick CSV. And I'll replace my existing one, which I no longer need. This will be our new lookup data, and we save it across. Okay, so that is our new lookup file. Now let's go back to zapMYstock Essential and have a little bit of a look at this lookup file data by opening the settings. Now here's our data from ABM. Notice that we have the first line in here being the actual headers, so tick the first line is headers box and assign each of these to the scanner field. So for example, the product code is actually the barcode. The product group is, well, we'll consider that to be the part number in this case. The product title, it's a description really, so we'll map that to description. Likewise for free stock being the count, and for retail being the cost. So of course the important parameters here are the count and the barcode. The others are sort of fairly arbitrary in this case. Okay, so we've configured zapMYstock Essential. We've got a lookup file. Now we just need to perform the Stocktake. Now I've done that. I have counted a few of the items initially. They're in my scanner, and I'll transfer the data. So this will transfer our ASP.csv file up to the PC with the new counts. Ticks showing transfer successful. Let's now have a look at the output file settings and have a look at ASP CSV. It in fact really does contain only two parts. It contains the barcode itself and it contains the count. These we have mapped to two fields, column 1 and column 2, F1, F2. So if we have a look at the content of the ASP CSV file, we'll find that we in fact have just those two columns in place. So we'll open that up and have a look. Here we are, barcode and count.
So the new count's 95, 95, 98, 99 and 100. So that is, as you'll see, differ from the existing stock levels in ABM. Now, to proceed, okay, here we are, the existing stock levels for those items. Let's begin really within ABM and organize a Stocktake. Procedures for your particular ERP may be somewhat different, but of course the flexibility of zapMYstock Essential allows us to really perform this with the great majority, most of the popular business softwares. So here we'll just put in some information, the Stocktake title. It's a partial Stocktake in this case. And we'll create a batch file to let ABM know what we're doing. We really just want to Stocktake in a particular location. In this case it'll be the Melbourne location. So if you have various locations or various sections of your warehouse, you can typically indicate what part you are Stocktaking. We'll put in a bit of a reference number here, which ABM requires. Okay, so now we have our batch ready for Stocktake, and we'll now import the information we have counted. So we go here to manual entry. Here's the existing stock levels. We're going to be importing our ASP.csv file, which is our count. We'll first of all have a bit of a look here at the settings, ensure that we have barcode and quantity being the only two fields, which they are, and import our Stocktake. So the moment we do that, we'll bring in the file, and we notice we bring in the file and we can see that the count is present. On hand, of course, differs. We have a difference in place. Let's have a look. We'll close it off and then actually perform run the batch. Yeah, so process. Once the batch is processed, we will see that our counts have now been updated, and here they are. So, a very short example of performing a Stocktake count using zapMYstock Essential and ABM.